These hit the record button. I was supposed to remind me. I'm the last one in the world to help me remember. That's not my job. I can't do it.
If you would proceed, Mr. Fields.
I'll start again. James Moriarty stirs the very soul of Sherlockians when his deeds of evil are remembered and told round the sign circles of the world. Dr. John Watson renders his opinion of this man as being a portrayal of intelligent and malevolence, a man whose brilliance was matched only by his capacity for evil. In the final problem, we read these words describing Moriarty. He is a man of good birth and excellent education, endowed by nature with a phenomenal mathematical faculty. But the man had hereditary tendencies of the most diabolical kind. A criminal strain ran in his blood, which, instead of being modified, was increased and rendered infinitely more dangerous by his extraordinary mental powers. He is the Napoleon of crime, Watson. He is the organizer of half that is evil and of nearly all that is undetected in this great city. Clearly, this is a man who should be avoided at all costs. However, in Nashville, we are blessed with a person who shares the Moriarty name, who is the antithesis of the vile professor. Peter Ryerson Silberblatt has dedicated years to the service of Nashville's visitors, providing leadership as the head of the Music City Concierge Association. As one of Nashville's chief greeters, he has made certain that those who needed help was assisted, and that this community's beautiful face was always forward-looking. With great pride, the Nashville Scholars of the Three-Pipe Problem today invest Peter Ryerson Silberblatt as Moriarty, knowing his goal will be to erase the memory and eclipse the legend of the sad, sinister professor of old. So congratulations. You are both official. You have all the honors, authorities, and rights to this organization. So thank you very much. I will hug you both when I see you in October.
Thank you so much. I sympathize with the ambulance. I've been there. Yes.
My sweet got up this morning to do the fancy lettering on these, and I was in there in the bathroom getting ready. She's at the kitchen table, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh!" So I'm going, "Uh-oh!" So then she brings this to me. Let it be known that Cindy Barnes Silberblatt, otherwise known as Moriarty. We did get it right.
Yep.
This is Peter. There you go, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we're so
Do we
glad.
have the one you got?
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine,
For
sure.
Mrs. Moriarty? Thank you.
Cindy, if you would be so kind as to take your loan sheet,
This one?
turn it over on the back. I printed it 3 times wrong. I have a new printer at home, and it didn't catch the bottom part of it. It doesn't tell you whether it's legal paper or, regular paper. It's A1240. So I had it set wrong, and it didn't come out. It's been quite a morning.
That's right.
Well,
But you won't
it's been
No,
quite a week. I will try to, because I found a couple of typos that I left in there. I will try to recreate the documents and bring them from up here and at least my part of them, because again, I saw a typo or two. So anyway, y'all carry on. I'm going to mute. The other thing that I am doing, I'm waiting for a load of wood to show up. When firewood can come on the mountain, you take it. So they called this morning early and said, we're on the way. Yet they're not here. So I'm assuming they're lost in a holler somewhere here in Fentress County. So I'm going to mute and listen, and y'all have a great time. If you need me, just shout.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Take care and be well, Billy.
Before Cindy brings her take on his last mouse, I love this story. It's just sweet. It's just kind of neat. It's got some wonderful lines in it that we hear in other movies. Up out on the Rocky Block. Step with me out on the terrace. East wind and all that kind of thing. But we haven't really heard from these people. We don't engage with them when we're at a 3PP meeting so much. Everybody's got something else to do, read. So I thought I would just sort of, you're gonna pick them up on, yeah, you've got them in there. Just sort of interview them today and find out who they are, because we are so glad that they're new scholars for us. We've been hurting for membership for a while, and this is gonna be a kick in the pants to help us get somewhere. So Cindy, you're a native of Nashville?
Yes,
Wow. And,
East Nashville,
okay,
Rosebank Elementary, Stratford High School, and then George Peabody College, which is now part of Vanderbilt.
yeah, right. And then where did you go to college?
College was George Peabody.
Oh, George Peabody.
Yeah.
When did the military thing come along?
After I graduated from Peabody, I had been working all through college at Kane Sloan's, different, different departments. And I really liked retail, and I really wanted to be a buyer. And so I stayed working there as the cost control analyst and the time card person and all that kind of stuff. And then I was told by the lady in charge of personnel that I was too stately to be a buyer.
Too stately?
Stately, that was her word. I'm not sure
Oh, wow.
how that,
Did you condescend to respond?
I just said, I didn't even say thank you, I just left. And so I had an aunt by marriage, cousin by marriage, who worked at Casternauts and was a buyer. So I went to her and got a job as a branch buyer at Casternauts in Green Hills as the lingerie buyer.
Wow.
Which was a lot of fun. And that, of course, didn't pay as much as the guys who were the male buyers.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course not. And I said, to my office mate, that's not good. We gotta start looking for something else.
Yeah, very good.
And so we called all the recruiting stations and asked them about officer training.
Huh.
And I had two friends who had joined the Air Force, and I knew they trained in Texas, and not for me. So
Had you done ROTC or?
no, nothing.
Yeah.
No, my uncles and my dad had been in the Army in World War II, but other than that,
Yeah.
no.
What year was this?
This was 73.
Okay.
73. And they said, the Navy said, well, we trained in Newport, Rhode Island. And I'd been there on vacation. I said, all right, I'll come down and take your tests and everything. And so did my office mate. She met a guy who gave the tests, and they were married by November. That was in July when we went down there, and they were married in November, and found out he never sent her application. And in December, I was selected for officer candidate school. So I spent 20 years in the Navy.
It is amazing. I've been to the Newport, Rhode Island
That's
facility because my nephew was a submariner.
Yeah.
And I would be on Southwest Airline flights and have an overnight, and he'd come get me, and, we go out to the officers club and have drinks and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I love it. I went back for the War College about halfway through my career and got to live there for a whole year then, so that was great.
So what brought you back to Nashville?
Well, I met Peter when I was stationed in DC,
Uh-huh.
and I had mentioned when we finally got engaged and all, I mentioned going back to Tennessee. I was thinking Memphis at the time because
Okay.
it wouldn't be right next to my relatives, but a 2.5 hour drive.
And Peter's a New Yorker, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he wanted to be near water, and nowhere in the Northeast or the Mid-Atlantic, etc., can you be near water and afford it. So I said, well, we can always go back to the Nashville area. We have a lot of lakes. So I came down here and we looked and we found a place on Olive Lake
Yeah.
with a view of the water.
And you live on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, huh? Good.
Isn't there this big river near Memphis?
Yeah, the Mississippi.
Mississippi?
Yeah.
It's kind of water.
It is.
Well, to set the record straight,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we go. The real story.
she said she didn't care for Washington DC, although she did stay for 10 years while my kids were growing up and going to school, they
Okay.
went off to college. But she originally sold me on moving to California. She wanted to go back to California where she was stationed.
Right.
And then she realized that
We
my
couldn't
people-
afford anything there
my
either.
my
You're
people
in
had
the
grown
thing
old.
there.
My people have grown old and passed away.
Yeah.
She had realized that her people were gonna grow old, pass away. California was further away from Nashville than was Washington DC. So it was sort of a bait and switch. She got me to agree to move from Washington. And I thought I was going to California, throw me in that bright
To
patch.
San Diego?
No, LA.
Oh, well.
I was stationed in LA for 3 years.
And then when she said, we gotta go to Nashville, I said, Nashville?
Whoa, wait.
And she said, but you promised we'd move. So I was,
And you want water?
but it was
Yeah.
I have to admit, I've never been in a more welcoming place than Nashville.
That's true, yeah.
And great friendships and very welcomed and opportunities to do things and to serve. So I'm very happy we came.
Tell us what you do now.
Now, being a concierge was a retirement idea.
Huh.
By that time, I had already retired, nominally speaking, 3 times. And we could not find the kind of work that we had been doing in Washington DC, here in Nashville. And a house guest said, come work for us in my hotel. And I said, sure, why not? And just for something to do. And I saw what the concierge did and realized that it wasn't there for the hotel, it was there for guests, which was really all I was interested in.
Yeah, right.
So I went to work for the Hilton Corporation as a concierge, and was approached to start by a number of, again, some of those wonderful Nashville friends who are still friends, to start a concierge association. And that was in 2010, and pretty much that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
Wow. What did you do the first part of your life?
Well, I went to Washington DC, go to college, volunteered on Capitol Hill, and basically, I was in an apartment house, and the young lady who I was dating at the time said, you know, the guy wants you to, they'll give you a free apartment if you collect for rents. And I built it into a property management business at West till 95.
Let's take a second and welcome David Hayes.
Oh, good. Hello, David.
Right.
Hey, David,
Don't know if he has his sound on.
wave to him maybe. He's not even looking.
Anybody want to ask the Silberblatts, our brand new members, anything that you don't know about them or be interested in?
And we've been coming to the Rasher
Yes.
breakfast a lot, so I'm sure they've heard way too much about us.
Never enough.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Tom for introducing
Yes.
folks to the Rashers
Yeah.
and to,
Right.
You're welcome. I've got a question. When did you first become interested in the books of Sherlock Holmes?
Okay. My dad gave me this set, the Double Days 2-volume set for Christmas when I was about 12 or 13. And I started reading it every time I was, over Thanksgiving and Christmas and, every time I was nothing else going on. Started reading it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's,
There you go.
it's the double day. So that was when I was 12 or 13, and I started reading it, and I decided I'd like to read more of this kind of thing. And my dad loved mysteries too, so it just kind of led to more mysteries, different kinds of mysteries. But Holmes was always there, and I loved the TV, the Jeremy Brett series. I liked the Cumberbatch series. Elementary, all of them. So that's how I came to like them.
and I got to admit that my reading tastes would be more described as more eclectic. I really did not, I don't think I've read the 10th of the Sherlock Holmes stories. But Cindy's a mystery lover, and for 30 years, if she blows in my ear, I'll follow her anywhere. That's how I ended up.
And then that's how I went to Malice Domestic.
That's what I want to ask you about. Kind of share with us about your involvement with that.
in 93, the same year I met Peter, I went to Malice Domestic, which is a convention always in the DC area for traditional mystery authors, write in the Agatha Christie style or similar to that style. Because that wasn't represented at the World Mystery Convention, VoucherCon. They hardly even mentioned those mysteries at that point, and it was mostly men at VoucherCon. And I'd never been to a VoucherCon at that point, but I went the next year, and it's sort of picked up since then as far as women attending, and they have categories for the traditional mystery now. But 93 was my first one. That was Malice Domestic 5. We're doing Malice Domestic 38 this coming May. And
You still chair that, right?
well, I was chair for 3 years in the early 2000s. And then the lady who was chair right after COVID, she quit. With no warning. And so we had to kind of reform Malice Domestic from scratch. And I became the chair, and this will be my last year as chair, but I'll also be the Agatha Awards chair next year. So, and the Agathas are given for best first, best historical, and on, also in nonfiction.
Fantastic.
In, I think it was 2018, that a friend of some of us, Matthias Bostrom, won his Agatha, his little teapot, everything.
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction,
Right, yeah.
best, yeah. And he stayed with Peter Blau, and then I found out that he was gonna be leaving on Sunday to go back to New Jersey and fly home. And so I can get on Southwest pretty easily, having spent 16 years out there, so I ran out there and jumped on a plane and met him at the Penn Station
There you go.
and rode the train with him back, and we just had a great time. Interviewed him, and he is a Nashville scholar. That's kind of well, great.
Quick question.
Yeah.
There's someone in the chat or the waiting room only labeled owner's iPhone. Do you want to take a chance on that or boot them out?
He's a Shalakian. I know him.
Yeah, we've had somebody joining earlier, Doc Shock.
No,
I
Mike,
took that.
Mike,
And-
Micah has
and
been
I
to,
put messages into the waiting room chat, but a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah, we had
okay,
somebody.
Mike has been to at least half a dozen or more.
On the big screen?
Yeah.
Well, the little screen up there. That was that TV, but
Didn't see much. We recorded it.
He is a Shalakian.
so admit them and see who it is, or
See who it is. Hello, identify yourself, please.
I guess they're gonna get the book.
yeah, no
They left.
owner's iPhone. You need to show your video so we can see who you are.
Micah, can you show your face?
See ya.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Oh,
I
it's
think,
Cat.
Remove
Sandy, I
user.
think they're
Yeah.
referring to
Oh,
someone
that's Cat.
else.
I remember, yes, this,
I think it's Cat. I think Cat was there for a
I
second.
can't undo it at this point. No, she'll have to come back. If she does, I'll let her in.
okay, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was Cat. Sorry, y'all.
All
So
right.
then, shall we go on to the story for today? Yes.
What about show and tell?
Oh, we didn't do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, let's show it to
Couple items, which I mentioned in passing, I think, in email. One, in this coming May, the Nashville Ballet will be doing a ballet titled Sherlock Holmes. Really, first week of May. I don't have a lot of details about it. Don't know how canonical it might be. Yeah, they don't even indicate what they're doing. Music to be, just says to be determined or something like that. So I guess they're still working on it right now. But I think it's for 3 days at the beginning of
I
May.
want to see Mike Rock get off the floor.
I'm sure Mike will be there. They have to get a number, but I'll handle it.
Okay.
Moriarty, I'm sure will be.
Oh, of course.
But-
Instant move, yeah.
But you can Google that, Google Nashville Ballet, and it'll come up with their schedule, once you can get more information there. The other thing is, this started when David Hayes sent out an image labeled Mademoiselle Holmes. And I tracked that down. It's a French series, surprise, that is available on PBS's streaming service called Passport Video. I don't know if it's actually going to run on PBS network, or at least here, but it is available there. It's a 6-part series, which Susan and I watched this past week. The concept is, the woman is the great granddaughter of Sherlock, supposedly. Things develop and change in the course of it. So her grandfather, she lives with her grandfather, who is supposedly Sherlock's son.
Yeah.
Named George. No explanation for who the mother might be or anything else like that. It's set in Paris. It's of course tongue in cheek, but still legitimate mysteries, and she shows a number of the Sherlockian skills of perception and deduction,
Yeah.
I'd say. And it's a lot of fun, and there's a story arc as well as individual mysteries in each episode. And gradually she comes to discover that she may actually be the daughter of the son of Moriarty.
Whoa.
And she has a half sister who's a Moriarty too. And the last episode of this first season is called The Final Problem. With a confrontation, but they're really a lot of fun.
Is it dubbed or captioned?
Oh, no, it is subtitled.
Okay.
That's the way I prefer them anyway. And it's easy to follow. There's a lot of humor in it, very relatable characters and quirky, so if you have access, I don't know if there's another way to see it besides Passport Video at this point. But it's worth seeking out if you can do that, so.
I presented a Sherlock Holmes program to our senior adult group. We go to Emmanuel Baptist Church, singing the choir there. And do you have any of that available on the playback? Can we can do that later when we show John Benton show. Anyway, I pulled up some things about it. I was gonna give you a quiz, bring up something and see who could tell me what it might be. But I had 45, 50 senior adults there who hardly knew anything about Holmes, and I came in from the side door, people sitting out here, and I'm complaining about, Mrs. Hudson, where's my pipe? I need a smoke. And she tells me that, well, Dr. Watson said you're doing too much smoke. It's not good for your health. We got into it a little bit, started off that way, but with a crowd who doesn't know Sherlock Holmes, or you can wow them just, yeah, this happened and this happened. They go, wow, it was fun. Shall we do the story?
Yes.
His last bow.
Bow.
Sorry. I'm kidding. Thank you for taking us.
I already showed you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
Does she need to stand or?
There we go. Do I need to? I don't know.
It's up to you.
I've given presentations to admirals at the Pentagon, to students when I was student taught, to people at Malice Domestic, and I'm more nervous now than I was any of those things.
You're among friends.
So,
We're not gonna grade you.
thank goodness. I mean, I couldn't figure out how to approach it, so I sort of approached it as I do when I'm watching things on TV, which is I'd like to read more about that particular issue.
That's good.
His Last Bow, an epilogue of Sherlock Holmes. The Last Bow was written by Conan Doyle in 1917. It first appeared in the Strand magazine, which we have a picture of somewhere.
Yep, you ready?
Yeah. There you go. That was, of course, Sherlock was the cover of the magazine. Right. The 3 illustrations in the story were drawn by Alfred Gilbert. He also illustrated several other Conan Doyle stories in the Strand, and it was first published in the United States in September 1917, same time by Collier's magazine. So I have a picture of that one also. And That illustrator was Frederick Dorr Steele. Steele did many more illustrations for Doyle's stories and Collier's. It is thought that Steele could be the reason that Holmes is pictured with the deerstalker hat, curved pipe, magnifying glass. He did a whole lot of illustrations, of which I couldn't seem to steal any pictures of from the internet, of Holmes looking much different than he does in this story. And it could be Steele that got that whole picture going.
He was an American here, so he just feels
Yes.
different.
Yes, and he was younger than the man who did the Strand illustrations also. Although written in 1917, the story is set in 1914. And I found some background on England in that year to set a place and tone to be helpful for reading it. They were going through a lot of domestic unrest, which included, of course, women's suffrage, labor problems, manufacturing problems, and the ongoing possibility of an Irish rebellion. They had political changes. The Liberal Party was in charge with Prime Minister Asquith, and the Secretary of War had positioned England with France and Russia. And then World War I happened on August 4th of 1914. Now the story is set August 2nd, 1914. And the other thing England was going through were spies. German spies were active in England in 1914 and earlier. At one point, MI5 was actively pursuing them, with 21 out of 22 known to them arrested in 1914. It was estimated that there were 120 German spies in England at that time. There's a picture, next picture. That is one of the spies that they arrested. His name was Carl Gustav Ernst. He was arrested in 1914 and he served 7 years in prison. But others were arrested and one was hanged at the Tower of London. And I didn't find his name. They kept it very quiet. They didn't publicize it very much about the spies because they just didn't want other countries to know that they were actively looking for spies. And since this is a spy story, we'll begin. The story begins on 2 August 1914 at night on the southern coast of England in a large house somewhere close to Dover and within sight of the lights at Harwich. There's a conversation between a German government secretary, Baron von Herrling, and a man who has been placed in England as a spy. He's been there for 4 years in order to mingle with the upper classes and government officials, primarily with regard to sailing, polo, gaming, and entertaining. His name is von Bork. He feels his job is easy because he describes the British as, quote, a more docile, simple folk could not be imagined. The Baron sees him as a playboy who drinks and goes clubbing with the British, and the Baron believes the Germans helped to stir up the Irish, among other things, to keep the British thinking about their own country instead of others. He feels superior to von Bork, obviously. I think von Bork shows the Baron his large safe as a boast on his part, and he also details all the items he has stored in the safe. His research in little cubby holes, all the different things, and they're all labeled as to what they are. And that he has his informers who have also gathered all this information. He indicates the best is yet to come, which are the naval signals, and they're due the next day from Portsmouth. They will be delivered by his top and most reliable informant, Altamont. As an aside, I looked up Altamont. Altamont is the middle name of Conan Doyle's father and grandfather.
Hey,
Altamont.
cool.
Van Bork continues to talk about Altamont as a hard worker who, quote, delivers the goods, as Altamont would tell him. And he's not a traitor to England because Altamont is an Irish American. Von Bork offers wine to the Baron, and he talks about Altamont liking this Tokay. Another picture. There's the wine. It's a very old, from 1600s, Hungarian wine. And it's pronounced differently, and the different name on the label is the Hungarian name. It's a very sweet dessert wine, and the fact that Altamont recognized it and talked about it and liked it should have told the spy a little something about Altamont, but it was known as the wine of kings. It was very popular in France at the time of the revolution. Next, let's see. Sorry, it's in here. It's a sweet dessert wine still available today, and they go outside finally to see the lights of Harwich. Harwich had a Royal Naval base with cruisers. The Harwich force was active in World War I. The entire southern coast of England was considered the target area. Next book talks about his housekeeper, Martha. Quote, she might almost personify Britannia. It's the little old lady who knitted and kept house for him, and we'll hear more about her later. The Baron leaves the house thinking that the naval signals will be deposited for pickup, and then all will be well. Von Bork returns to the house and starts his cleanup process. Some papers are burned, and others from the safe are placed in a leather valise. He closes the safe. He hears a car, and the passenger runs toward him with a brown paper package. It's Altamont, who is tall, leggy, gray-haired, and 60-ish. Von Bork describes his chauffeur as a heavily built elderly man with a gray mustache. The Irish American tells Von Bork that he has everything: semaphore, lamp code, and Marconi copies, not originals. He comments on Von Bork's large safe, questioning why he keeps his papers in it. Von Bork goes ahead and tells him everything about the safe: how it opens, how it works, what he's stored in it, and all the combinations he's picked for it, which are very basic, almost like picking 1, 2, 3, 4 as your combination.
Can't help himself.
That's yeah, but he boasts a lot about what he's done and what his informers have done. And by now, I think that every reader realizes that this Irish American is Sherlock Holmes and Watson is the chauffeur. I was originally surprised when I first read this story that Holmes doesn't appear until halfway through the story. And the story's not being written by Watson about Holmes. A long discussion ensues between Altamont and Von Bork. Von Bork brags about all of his informers. And then, of course, Holmes points out that they've been found and arrested, a lot of them. So, you know, how good are you if your people have been arrested? Von Bork then Holmes demands to be paid for what he's done. So Von Bork sits at his desk and writes a check for 500 pounds. Opening the paper package, he finds the Practical Handbook of Bee Culture. As Von Bork stared at the book about bees, Altamont grips his hands around Von Bork's neck and places chloroform over his face. And we have an illustration from the story for that. There he is.
And that's
That's from the screen.
so that's
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
yeah, Gilbert.
Although it's never mentioned that the chauffeur has entered the room and has a glass of the Tokay wine, it becomes clear when Altamont says, "Another glass, Watson?" And I look back, like, when did he come in? Couldn't find it anywhere. So, any reader who hasn't figured it out by now that Altamont is Holmes and that the chauffeur is Watson hasn't been reading these stories very long. So, maybe in 1917, there were a lot of people that still hadn't read them, but I doubt it. After telling Watson that it's Imperial Tokay from the Schönbrunn Palace, Van Bork is tied up. He's now unconscious on the couch, so Holmes and Watson are free to talk. Now the housekeeper, Martha, enters, and she has always been a part of Holmes' plan, of course. They agree to meet at Claridge's in London the next day, and Martha has been spying on the spy the whole time. She's collected letters that he wrote or copies of notes that he made, so she's well informed on everything that's going on at that house. At this point, Holmes and Watson discuss their time apart. Watson says Holmes looks the same except for the goatee that he was wearing. Holmes says it will all be gone tomorrow. And Holmes says Watson is the same, quote, blithe boy as if. The conversation turns to a discussion of Holmes' time away after being persuaded to come out of retirement by the foreign minister and the premier. In the United States, he was in Chicago and Buffalo for an unknown number of years, where he worked his way into Irish immigrant communities and became the angry Irish American known as Alton. Awake on the couch, Von Bork yells angry curses at Holmes and says, if it takes me all my life, I will get level with you. Seems mild, but
Yeah.
but they're, it was 1917. So
Can't drink what you really said.
right. Holmes replies, how often have I heard it in days gone by? It was a favorite ditty of the late lamented Professor Moriarty.
Yeah. Here you go.
Colonel Sebastian Moran has also been known to warble it, and yet I live and keep beads upon the South Downs. We have a picture of the South Downs. Of course, now the Downs are a national park. So it really looks about the same probably as it did at the time that Holmes was there. It was also a place at that time for authors and artists to live in the area. It became kind of an art community.
And I think this is where David Markham has been before.
Yes, I
On
think
his
he had.
pilgrimages,
There's a second Downs picture there.
Mhm.
If we have it. Maybe not. There's a second one.
No, that was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay, so I didn't include but one. That's fine. Van Bork wants to know Altamont's real name. Holmes gives him hints by recounting some of his past dealings in Bohemia and others that Van Bork might recognize. And now he knows that Altamont is Sherlock Holmes. After getting him into their car, Van Bork worries about what will happen to him. But Holmes assures him that he won't bear any ill will against Holmes because he is a, quote, sportsman. Von Bork has done the best for his country, and Holmes has done the best for his. Holmes and Watson have a final conversation. Watson will be joining his old service. Holmes says, quote, stand with me here upon the terrace, for it may be the last quiet talk that we shall ever have. Mm-hmm. They talk about past days, and Holmes ends the talk with the following. There's an east wind coming. It will be cold and bitter. A good many of us may wither before its blast. Then they go to the car to take Van Bork to Scotland Yard. This ends the story, His Last Bow, but it is a part of an entire book called His Last Bow, which I was given a copy of today.
People are signing that, be sure you sign it before.
Which confused me originally when I started reading, and everything was labeled at the top of the double page with His Last Bow. Is like for every single, I went, this cannot be an entire short story. Wait a minute. So, okay. It contained more stories from Holmes' earlier years. But in between His Last Bow and the first story and the rest of the book, Conan Doyle writes this. And so, reader, farewell to Sherlock Holmes. I thank you for your past constancy and can but hope that some return has been made in the shape of that distraction from the worries of life and stimulating change of thought, which can only be found in the very kingdom of romance. Arthur Conan Doyle.
Great. Thank you. What? Right to the point. An interesting addendum to the story, of course, is that having been disgraced, Von Bork and his family immigrated to the United States, where you will, and after the First World War, many people de-Germanized their names. They dropped the Von. And the son later was nominated to be a justice on the American Supreme Court. Really?
No.
Oh,
That's-
please.
That's Mr. Local Moriarty being very,
I think we're gonna be hearing a lot of that Moriarty.
yeah.
Comment, anybody?
So
Scott?
I also had, I started to add information about what happened after he wrote the book story in 2017, but you know, obviously the war was still going on and air raids and propaganda and, the economy got worse and women were all over the workforce, so
Yeah.
that
But
was.
she did discover another one that's really not a joke, but in the story, it says that the book might be passed through the Duke of York's.
Yeah,
We weren't sure whether you were talking about the hotel or the pub, because in 1917, there was no Duke of York. The dukes in the English hierarchy are generally the brothers and or extra sons of the royalty. But there would be a Duke of York, but there was a person who was going to become the Duke of York. He would be appointed, he was a minor at the time, he received the title in 1920. And he went on to be the king and the father of Elizabeth.
This is, in the King's Speech.
Yeah, and this is true, this is,
Right, that-
this one isn't a joke.
no, that's true, but in the story, it says that, they will put the information through the little door at the Duke of York. York's, and they say it, you know, apostrophe S. And I couldn't find any reference to what that was referring to. So if anyone knows that, I'd love to know.
Yeah, I mean,
And of course, the information was being brought to him by Altamont that next day, so I'm not sure why someone thought it was going to be placed in a little door. So, don't know.
I don't know the answer to that, but you did clear something up for me. I was always under the impression that this story influenced John Buchan when he wrote the 39 Steps, because it's
Right.
set the year after. Well, it's set the same year, but it came out. And that was actually published 2 or 3 years before the story.
Right.
39 steps, 1915.
Yeah.
So,
what you got, D?
Well, I think this is the story that's used to establish Sherlock's birth year, because it describes him as a man of 60. Not 60, 60.
Right.
So from that counting backwards, it's 1854 would be his birth year.
Very good.
Also, it's not really related, to this, but Altamont is also the name of the town in California where they had the Rolling Stones concert. Here, everything went bad with the Hells Angels. Later, it obviously has nothing to do with this story, but that's when I see this name, that's what I think of.
I was so surprised to find out it was I saw what he called him Altamont. It's not really an Irish name. Well, it didn't seem Irish.
And this is only one of 2 stories that are third person.
Yeah,
You know, and they mentioned that,
Yeah, right.
right.
that in Fuller Bridge, Watson mentions that he might, that some of his accounts might be in the third person because he was such a small part of it, didn't really participate at all. It was just on the fringe,
Right.
which kind of explains. So that's the justification for saying this still is one by Watson.
Right.
Some argue that it's not, but this.
Well, he was, Watson was there. Of course he
He was eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
But there, as they also point out, nobody was there in that conversation between Von Helsing and
No.
Von whatever and Borth.
Yeah,
The first part of it,
the housekeeper might have heard it.
that's possible. Some say, yeah, Martha might have done it.
Yeah.
There are also those who say, it's Martha, Mrs. Hudson,
that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
and their arguments.
I
both
thought
ways
of
on it.
that, but
I don't think so, because she's too subservient. And Mrs. Hudson, was indulgent
right,
of Holmes.
Right.
But she so frequently treated him like she was his mother.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't see her as acting so subservient, like she does most of her.
But I love I don't love it. I'm, the fact that work keeps referring to the British as, just docile and, just, they don't know what's going on. That's true.
Well, think about that. It was written in 1917. That's Doyle trying to rouse up the readers.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
To continue to turn them. It's a propaganda story. It's
Yeah,
very much a pro-Britain story.
yeah,
This makes them more angry.
And so in 1940, when they did Rathbone and Bruce,
they use
they
columns.
used
to-
those
did
lines
the same
straight out
thing.
of the east wind and all that.
I should have mentioned that at the end, but you guys all know that in twice.
There's also high technology. There's a new thing on the road called an automobile.
Okay, yeah,
Park,
yeah.
let's get a nice one parked in the, I'm surprised nobody ever illustrated that, you know.
Yeah.
As the doorway opens,
Yeah.
with this wonderful machine sitting out there.
I forgot to have him put up the last illustration was on Bork lying on the couch while they were talking about him and him getting madder and madder.
Yeah.
So I forgot to tell you to put that, no.
Sorry. So Dole had a history of, making presentations or speeches about the Germans. So he, you know, he definitely was not beyond propaganda because he felt they were a coming threat.
It's been 4 years or so in the United States to come up with a whole new identity that he obviously got perfectly because, well, Von Bork thought he was American for sure. He
Yeah.
made fun of his accent.
Yeah.
And the little door, there is nothing that specifically refers to the little door that we know of.
Right.
The consensus among studies of the stories is that it's either the column at the Duke of York's palace or
Okay.
dwelling, or there's a theater that has several small doors.
I looked up the York theaters, pubs and restaurants, and there are quite a few in London, but I couldn't figure out why a little door, but you know, and it's odd that it's in there, but
Yeah.
well, it's also like Watson all of a sudden sitting there with a glass of wine, and I'm going back, did I miss that? He didn't. So.
But it's until recently, it's funny how much spying stayed the same until we got into this current cyber age. You know, drop spots were the way.
Yeah.
You know, even to 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think even Anderson, you know, marked the mailbox for a drop spot. But of course, now we're in a different
I
time.
think we've made it too easy for them now.
The fine wine holds. A remarkable wine, Watson.
Well, has anybody had any of that wine by any chance? It's Hungarian, and the reason it tastes different is because it's only made in a certain region in Hungary with a mold on it.
Yeah.
And it's the mold that makes it taste the way it tastes, and it's very exclusive, but it's still available.
Is it very expensive?
Yes, they said it was, they didn't say how much, but every place I looked up, there was one lady who was doing a wine tasting and she had some with just tiny little amounts for people to taste. Said it was very expensive. That's what they
I've
said it
had
was
some
for
over
Philippines.
many years ago,
I
and
know, I
it
thought that was
tasted
interesting. That was
vile.
one of my rabbit holes I went down to.
Well, Cindy said she was nervous and only had about 10 minutes worth of stuff, you know, and I said, that's all we ever started at, to get people to talk and answer questions and things. And I think it's a great job. Thank you again. Thank you. When she told me, I thought we might run short, so I brought this 12-minute video. I don't know if any of you've seen it or not. It's what's on the John Bennett Shaw website. It's about how John Bennett Shaw became the highest known of his age. And I just thought we'd show it and post with that. And we've got Sandy. Sandy, you ready for your limerick? You have it for us?
yes, I do.
Go right ahead. You're on.
Okay. A retired Holmes made one final bow. Through his acting, he showed us, and how, that a man with his skill and unshakable will does the job. Would we had him right now? Yeah.
Very good. Very good. David Hayes, can you hear me? Any questions or any input to this little story you might have for us?
No, but I'm sure glad I zoomed in so I could hear her presentation.
Yeah, that's great. Then Billy's at home, you know, a little bit under the weather, so he helped us invest these two wonderful folks. I'm glad the Zoom is working for us today. if you don't, guys don't mind, we'll just show this quick video and then we'll close out. All right? Bill?
Just a second.
Do we have the next meeting's notification and story?
I can tell you that.
Yes.
October is when we always do one of Doyle's gothic or horror or offbeat stories. This year, the story will be The Striped Chest. Now, it's included in several of the Doyle collections, including one of the Sea Stories collections. But of course, the easiest way to go if you don't have it is the Arthur Conan Doyle Encyclopedia, which includes, of course, all of his fiction. I will be sending out an email with a link to that shortly. So it's a short story too. It will not take you that long to read.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that falls into several categories. It's kind of a horror story. It's kind of a sea story. It's not exactly mystery, but sort of. So it's one we can have some fun with talking about after we've read it. And that's gonna be October.
And we delay that a week, usually meet on the 3rd, but we got Southern Festival of Books coming up, and so that's why we moved it off.
The Striped Chest.
Great.
Ready?
Hey, you have sound and everything.
Oops, sorry. Start one.
Yeah, it's this already.
Great,
Yeah.
It's starting to play now. You had the sound while ago.
Yeah.
There's the speaker's muted.
Yeah,
It's different speaker.
By the way, had the use of chloroform turn up in any of the other stories?
I don't think so.
So. That's dangerous stuff.
yeah.
Too much would.
Google.
Well, it's no good without the sound.
Yeah, it's.
It's not working.
It's gonna.
You have it.
Apologies, folks. We're gonna get too much feedback to play the video.
Yeah, it's good, it's good. Anybody got anything to add? Appreciate everybody being here today, kind of down today, but we got folks on the road. Billy reviving at home.
Hopefully he's got his wood.
Yeah, but he dropped out of the meeting, said the wood folks had arrived.
Okay.
Oh, that's great, that's great. Well, you're up next time to present if you like, okay? The
What are we looking at?
the November, you know what I'm looking at?
You more.
Surely you can do you can do the blue carbuncle for us, can't you? in
Why not?
November?
My
Yeah,
favorite
Carbuncle.
And it's a Christmas stories.
Oh, wonderful. I'll put on my Santa outfit early.
No one is assigned, so if you want to take it, we'd love you to. I'll do it. All right, yay. You realize you're clapping for Moriarty, right? Ooh.
Good. Time for the wolf man. Why not?
It wouldn't be Holmes without Moriarty. I mean, he'd find another villain, but that one is so perfect,
It is.
you know, so.
And they had to dream him up because you had to get rid of Holmes. He said, I gotta find somebody to
Yeah.
kill him with, you know, and
Right.
so people don't accuse me of it.
Right.
Hey. You know,
And
so
then they talked him into bringing it back, so.
he looked in his wallet and there wasn't any money there and he said, oh, what did I do with Holmes? Let's bring him back.
Dare I mention that in some Sherlockian circles, they do hiss when the name Moriarty.
Oh, really?
Please feel free. I would want to be part of a club that would have me as.
That's the last year of life.
So, Moriarty, you're November the 15th.
Okey-dokey.
That's good. We don't know about December yet, but we're gonna do anything. So,
Have a party.
we used to do
Sometimes we do,
that.
yeah.
Yes. Then I just do that. Okay, right, so thank you. Do we need anybody else here to check in on it?
I love her bookshelves.
Yeah,
They're
I'd like,
amazing.
I'd like to get a close up on those books.
I know. Are they all mysteries?
I think that's a virtual background.
Is it really?
Sandy, is that your actual bookshelf or is that a virtual background?
No, there's a small, very short story behind this. I'm technologically not very there, but my son, on the other hand, is very good with computers. And my old computer was dying, and he chose for me. I paid for it, but he chose a new one for me and installed it, and so on and so forth. And he said, now you can have a background, because my old computer, I couldn't have any backgrounds. And he said, what do you want? And I said, well, a bookcase would be nice. And he said, okay, you have a bookcase. And then he left to do something else, somewhere else. He doesn't live in my house. He's a grandfather himself. So,
Sandy has.
so this is it. You will see the same bookcase every time. I do not have a variety. I wouldn't know how to change them if I did. So,
Well, it's a beautiful background.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it isn't that. It is in some ways similar to my main bookcase, which is downstairs, which is why when people say, show me a book, I can never do it because it's not here. Unless I happen to be actually reading it at the moment, it is not up here.
How's your family doing in Israel? Are they safe?
So far, so good. 39 great-grandchildren over there. Really? I'm not making up that number.
Fruitful.
And, you know, I mean, now and again, they have to go hiding into hiding for the safe rooms, but they have them and they know what to do. And it's just life, you know, for them, it's life. It's like during World War II, there were Air Force drills in Manhattan. Not that they were ever anybody's planes but our own going over. But you just got used to it. and they're just used to it.
Well,
And
we pray for you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, we pray for you because I know it's a tough life over there now.
I thank you so much. All good prayers and thoughts are exceedingly welcome. I thank you.
For you, no, we had a welcome homes discussion group. Gail and I started back in 89 or 90. And Esmeralda, Sandy, was sort of the Mrs. Hudson of the group. She kicked out folks and broke the rules. Was welcoming, kept tabs on everyone. So we've been friends for 30 years, you know. It's great.
How are you doing, Jim?
I'm good. Great. I'm 81 now. I'm gonna catch you.
You'll never catch up to me. I like
Okay,
your
we'll
shirt.
see you.
I'll see you.
Peace.
Peace out.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Hey, folks, it's always good to see you folks.
Bye,
Glad
Sandy.
you came.
Thank y'all. See you, David.
All righty now. See you later, alligator.
Bye-bye.
Okay,